Aloha. My name is Anjalie Trice, and I'm the author of the Conscious Education Project, 21 Qualities to Create Dynamic Learners. Now, this is a curriculum for 3rd through 10th graders, and it's meant to be an adjunct program. It goes along with traditional academic education. And the foundation of this curriculum is 21 qualities. And what I like to say is the 21 qualities create dynamic learners. So what's a dynamic learner? A dynamic learner is someone who is trained on how to manage and recognize their emotions and communicates clearly. So they can communicate in general very, very clearly, and they're not afraid to talk and share. That is one aspect of a dynamic learner. Another aspect is they have a sense of their own strengths and challenges, and they know the power of positive self-concept. So they can say, I'm really good in math and I'm a little challenged in reading. So I'm going to assist my friends in math, and I'm going to seek some help with my reading from my peers and from my teachers. And I'm okay with seeking that help. And a dynamic learner has taken the time to learn tools that assist them in their life, and that they can use these tools on a daily basis. And they can recognize when they need to use those tools. So in my 30 plus years as an educator, in the classroom most specifically, I noticed that children would arrive into my class and they wouldn't be available to learn. I would have these creative ideas and have all these things set up for them to learn, and sometimes they just couldn't learn. And many times it was because they were hungry, they were tired, they were emotionally exhausted from something that happened at home, or they were confused about some of their interactions with their peers. So the 21 qualities are designed to change that situation. And so the first quality that comes up in my book is Vantage Point. So I'm going to be making one video for each of the qualities, and today the video is called Vantage Point. So I'm going to read a little bit from my book, The Conscious Education Project. I have a facilitator manual and I have a student notebook. Both are a part of the Conscious Education Project. And Vantage Point, I wrote about Vantage Point in this way. I said, Vantage Point enables students to experience the many ways to view a situation or an occurrence. One is not necessarily right or wrong. Each vantage point holds a truth, and students are empowered to choose their vantage point. So I picked Vantage Point as the first quality because I think it's a really good way to start this curriculum. And the goal of Vantage Point is to bring new options to the students' decision-making mind. The students can go, oh, maybe I can look at this situation differently. Maybe what that person is saying might be true, or maybe I can consider that. And another reason that I have chosen Vantage Point is because it teaches the students to entertain the possibility that life has more to show them than what they've known in the past. So they're going to expand their awareness. So we're going to talk about Vantage Point in general first. So come with me. We are out on the deck of the house where I'm doing this video, and I'm going to show you 4 vantage points of this house. This is the first one right here. You can see the ocean, you can see the trees, and you can see the unbounded view and the sky and the birds. What if you had this vantage point of this house? And it was the only vantage point that you had of this house. Here's a vantage point of this house that is very different from some of the other vantage points of this house. We have a lot more going on here in this vantage point. This is a vantage point of this house. It's very different. And it's to be considered. So based on those 4 pictures of this home, Which one would you choose to make the decision of whether to live here or not? Would you use them all? Would you use one of them to encourage you to live here? Or would you use one of them to discourage you from living here? What is your vantage point about this home? Here's another thing that I want to show you about Vantage Point, and this is really a great one. Are there 3 or 4 rods in this picture? What do you think? Let's say that I was going to take you to Central Park, and I said, do you want to go to Central Park? And I showed you this picture of Central Park. Or let's say instead of showing you that picture, I showed you a different one, and only this one. Or let's say that instead of having to choose to go to Central Park based on only one picture, let's say you had 2 pictures, and I said then to you, would you like to go to Central Park? Here is Central Park, and here is Central Park. When you have 2 pictures, you have a different vantage point as compared to having only one picture of Central Park. You get a whole vision. That's the essence of Vantage Point. So when I work with the students, I do 4 to 5 projects with them about Vantage Point. The first one is we do a zoom out. We take the address of the location where we're having the class, and we put it on Google Maps. And we start with where it is located, and then we go out a little bit more, out a little bit more, so that they begin to see, well, this is what it looks like in my city. This is what it looks like in the state. This is what it looks like in the country. Let's expand our awareness of where we live. Another project that we do in the Vantage Point quality is we go outside and we observe only one side of a building. And then we talk about how we would judge that building from just that awareness. And then we go to another side and we add that awareness. We observe that. So we practice observing. And then we do all 4 sides and then say and talk about how having the awareness of all 4 sides has changed the way we look at the building. And then we also talk about kind of the idea of the ultimate vantage point. The ultimate vantage point is being able to understand many different ways of looking at a situation. Not just our way of looking at it, but understanding someone else's way. That doesn't mean we have to agree with the other way. It means that we can have an understanding of the other vantage point. And having an understanding of the other vantage point expands our awareness. And thus, we're becoming a conscious individual, a conscious, awake, aware individual. And we also talk about reacting and responding in Vantage Point. We are more empowered when we can respond. And we can respond when we have more information about a situation. When we react, many times we react based on just one thing, a feeling. Oh, this is the way I feel about it. Once we begin to get other vantage points, we become more aware and we can respond, and that empowers us. Imagine a student who's able to say, oh, this is my vantage point, this is my friend's vantage point, and this is my teacher's vantage point. And I'm going to consider all of those in my behavior in my life. So that's everything I have to say right now about Vantage Point. If you would like to know more about the Conscious Education Project, here is my website and my email address, www.consciouseducationproject.com or consciousedproj@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to this video. The next one that I'll be doing is the way we start creates the finish. I look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you so much. Aloha from Maui.